Heya, I'm Valen from Mischief of Mice. Welcome to another Bit by Bit on Witchery, a Minecraft mod by Emoniph. As usual, I'll post some helpful links in the description, so let's begin. Hi Peaky, how are you today? Oh, looks like you're a little hungry. There you go. Alright, now to get on with what we're covering today. Breeding Hobgoblins, Polynesia Charm, the Grassper, the Critter Snare, a couple stews and brews. So, off to breeding Hobgoblins. As you can see, I have quite a few here. Just keep in mind that this started with 2 Hobgoblins brought in to this little house here, and then I converted a lot of the doors and converted a lot of the walls into doors and surrounded the entire property with more doors, plus a little sound muffler because they can get really loud. That's pretty much it. They breed similar to villagers where they just need a lot of doors in the area so that they'll create more. The Potion of Love will not work on these guys. And, just a reminder, as I did not cover it in the last episode, the Potion of Love, or Brew of Love, excuse me, when used on livestock, it will actually work again immediately after. Oops, let me try typing that again properly. Give myself a few more. So you can continue just breeding more and more. So this can actually cut down considerably on the time spent with breeding animals if you need to do so quickly. Just a reminder. Alright, now on to the next topic. Alright, here we are, the Polynesia Charm. Now this has one basic use, but it's quite expansive. So, first, how do we make one? Recipe is just some nether wart, odor of purity, whiff of magic, some fish, and an iron ingot. Gets you this little trinket here. Now it's not worn, it's actually used. So, to give an example, I've got a pig here, and what it allows you to do is trade with them as if they were a villager. So when I right click, pig will basically take 12 carrots for 6 mushrooms. The sheep will take wheat for belladonna flowers. And cow will take wheat for iron, etc. etc. Now I do have some witchery creatures in here, like this winged monkey here, or some potatoes. He'll give me iron. And if I do, let's see, ocelot. Yep, for a bucket of milk, he'll give me some carrots. And let's see, we've got a wolf. For some raw pork chops, he'll give me some bones. Mushroom. And of course, even the water creatures. So if I can get him spawned in here. There we go. Some fish for some insects. Simple enough. It can be a way of non-violently obtaining the items that you need. It does not work on horses. I think it's something to do with them thinking that you're trying to mount them. But it will also work on other witchery creatures like an owl or a toad. And it may change just like villagers' items may change. So, that's not the extent of this though. There is a little bit more. So let's go take a look at what that can do outside. Okay, so here I am at a fenced-in area with protection from the sun. So, guess what that means? We're going to be dealing with some mobs. First, let me get my charm. Then, I'm going to grab myself some other robes besides the witch's robes that I'm wearing. But before I switch into another pair, let's spawn ourselves a creeper. Now, if you notice, I am not in creative mode. And he is ignoring me because I'm wearing the witch's robes, which allows me to be ignored by creepers. So as he is ignoring me, he'll trade with me if I have this charm. There you go. 5 fish for a tree-fid seed, which would be useful in some recipes. So, to continue on, let's see here. What else do we have? We've got a skeleton. Well, this isn't going to work for that, so I'm going to switch it out for some necromancer robes. Recipe for that one's impregnated leather, golden thread, and a necromantic stone, which is an attuned stone that's been infused with necromantic energies. We'll do that in a future episode. But for now, I'll just show you how this works. So I'm going to spawn myself a skeleton. And because I'm wearing this set of robes, he ignores me. So, therefore, I can trade with him. 6 bones for some spectral dust. Ooh, that could be pretty cool. Alright, now something you should note, if you notice, it's actually been used a little bit. So let's see, he wanted bones, right? So let me get some bones. If I trade with him, he gave me a whole bunch in mind. Alright, so moving on, it works with like pigmen as well. Oops, let me grab that charm back again, didn't mean to put that down. So you see he can do that. They won't always trade for spectral dust. That's just an example item that we happen to be getting a few times. Works with zombies too, regular zombies. But you're going to want to make sure that you give yourself precautions, because it also will work for things like spiders. But spiders are kind of weird where during the day they're friendly, but at nighttime they may not be. So if it's nighttime, you can still trade with them, but they're also going to try and attack you. So keep that in mind. And this Polynesia Charm doesn't work on everything. It will work on a lot of things, though. Now, there are other creatures out there that actually will need a better charm for, but we're going to go over that in a future episode when you're able to make it. So, moving on, let's get to the next thing. Alright, next we're going to do the Grassper. Now this you've probably seen me using throughout the entire series. It's a very handy item. I have about half a stack of them here. Looks like a little kind of plant hand growing out of some kind of, well, clovery plant. Now, in order to make these, as well as a few other things, you first will need a mutating sprig. So, a mutating sprig is made from an ent twig that we obtained in the very first episode. To make one, it's simply a netherwort, ent twig, and mutandus extremis in a witch's cauldron in that order will pop out a mutating sprig. So, how do you convert a chest and some grass into a grasper? Simple. You just right-click with the mutating sprig on the chest. Before I do that, though, you'll need to get some shears, find yourself some grass, or use some bone meal to make some. Place a chest over some water, if you notice there is water there, and then you just right-click, poof, got yourself a bunch of graspers. And you can just break them, pick them up, and place them back down wherever you like. You can place them on the side of blocks, for instance. You can even place them on top of signposts. They're very handy, can be used just about anywhere. And they also will be used for holding ingredients in circle magic, so that they don't despawn if you're having trouble remembering the exact recipe. But we're not getting into circle magic today. Instead, we're going over here to the next one, critter snares. Now, if you notice, these things look a little bit weird. That's because each one is contained a mob, essentially. We've got this one here has a silverfish in it, this one here has a green slime, and this one here has a bat. So these, if any of these creatures are close to them, will actually grab onto it. For instance, this is one that has nothing in it. Those ones have monsters contained in it. Now, to make one of these, first you'll need some alder saplings. You place them around a spider web hovered over some water. So you're going to want to put the block down, put the spider web next to it. On top of that, here's the challenging part. You need a zombie in the web. Now I'm just going to drop them in there with my zombie spawning egg, but you'll probably have to do it in a more practiced manner at nighttime. So it'll be a little more challenging. You take your mutating sprig, hover it on the cobweb, and right-click. Poof! Get yourself a bunch of critter snares, and the zombie's gone. Then you can just break them and pick them up, place them where you want, and use them later. Now, why would I want to trap these items when I could just kill them? Well, sometimes you'll need them for a recipe. Sometimes you'll need them to transform them into other things. What, you might ask? Well, there are lots of witchery items, creatures. For instance, Peaky here, who is now pretty happy that he's eaten, is one of the creatures you could actually make. we'll get into that in the next episode. But for now, let's go finish off the last items. Some raw meaty stew. Simple enough. This is just a few different kinds of vegetables and meat, which, by the way, garlic can be obtained by just punching grass and then replanting it in tilled earth. As you can see, it's just a few different recipes, and you'll get raw meaty stew. Now, if you eat this as it is, you'll only get about a half a meat pop out of it. But if you cook it in a witch's oven or a furnace, you get meaty stew, which then will get you about 6 meat pops worth and just about as much saturation. So that'll keep you pretty well fed, if I do say so myself. So to move on to something a little bit more give and take. Brew of the Grotesque and the Brew of the Depths. The Brew of the Grotesque is actually kind of fun. So what this is something that will in so much keep enemies at bay. Now it's not going to work on everything. If it's ugly or another player, then it's probably not going to work. But if you watch, I'm going to drink this here. And poof, I have become grotesque. Now what does this do? Let's turn back into first person mode here and go visit these cows. How you doing, guys? Looks like they're not interested in being friendly. The idea is this will keep enemies at bay. It can be helpful in many aspects, not all, but and let's change it to nighttime when these guys would become. If you notice, it kind of puts up a force field effect around me. So I can actually somewhat safely get around. Now if I were to charge these guys, if you notice, they will bounce at me and get me eventually, but it's not a bad idea. Now it does last for maybe 5 minutes or so, so you don't need to worry that you're going to look like this forever, but just something that you could use. Now, how do you make a potion of the grotesque? It's a good idea. I probably should have looked at that before we even did anything, but it's a tongue of the dog, Mutanus extremis, mandrake root, golden apple, poisonous potato, and water artichoke. So let's make things daytime and change it back to this game mode here. Now the last item that we're going over is a Brew of the Depths. Let's make a little space here so I can pick it up. Now this is as useful as it is dangerous. It allows you to breathe underwater, but essentially you, in effect, will grow gills, and if you're on land, you'll start kind of drowning in a way. You'll gain a wither effect from it. So first, I'm going to drink it while I'm underwater. Alright, so you notice my air bubbles are going down. And there we go. I now have the effect. Water breathing for about 5 minutes. And you can see I'm actually still under the grotesque effect as well. But if I come out of water, ooh, I got a really nasty effect there. Let's see if I can catch it on screen. There you go. Wither 2. So now here's a strange side effect. If I'm wearing the seeping shoes and I'm on grass when I do this, it will actually shoot it out into the grass as bone meal. So that is one way of bone mealing a large area and not being injured. So there you go. Well, that about covers everything for today's episode. I hope you found this helpful. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. And until next time, see ya.